Ever walk into your garden and just stare at a tangled, thorny, chaotic mess of blackberry bushes, wondering where to even begin? Well, what if I told you that with a few simple snips, you could turn that wild thicket into a perfectly organized plant that actually yields up to 50% more fruit? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the art and the science of blackberry pruning. So whether you're a total beginner trying to tame your very first bush, or a seasoned gardener looking to seriously maximize your harvest, we've pulled together the absolute best, expert-backed strategies to help you get a bountiful, disease-free crop. Let's get to it.
Okay, I want to kick things off with a pretty wild fact, because this right here is the whole reason we're doing this. A blackberry plant's root system is perennial, meaning it stays alive and kicking for decades. Honestly, some can thrive for over 40 years. But the canes, the actual branches growing above ground, those are biennial. They literally only live for 2 years. Understanding this completely unique 2-year life cycle is your master key to pruning. If you just leave it alone, your plant gets choked out by dead wood. But if you prune it right, you unlock its true potential.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to cover understanding blackberry growth, why pruning is so essential, the best time to prune, exactly how to do it, and finally, troubleshooting and pest control. Let's jump right in. Part 1. Understanding blackberry growth. Before we start chopping, we've got to understand the fascinating botany of these plants.
Listen, if you take only one thing away from this entire explainer, it needs to be this. Knowing the difference between your first-year primal canes and your second-year flora canes. Your entire strategy hinges on telling these two apart. Primal canes are basically the new kids on the block. They're first-year growth, usually bright green, super flexible, and vegetative, which means they generally don't produce any fruit yet. Flora canes, on the flip side, are those exact same canes but in their second year of life. They've developed this brown, woody bark, and they're the VIPs that will actually produce your flowers and fruit. And the kicker? Once a flora cane produces fruit, it dies. Period.
Take a look at this, because it's like night and day. See that light green, fresh-looking primo cane near the top? Now compare that to the darker, woody flora cane down below that's currently loaded up and doing the hard work of producing fruit. Training your eye to spot this difference at a glance, that's your absolute superpower out in the berry patch.
Now, blackberries also have a few different personalities or growth habits, and knowing yours dictates exactly how you manage its shape. Erect blackberries are stiff and stand upright on their own, so they need minimal support. Semi-erect types start off straight but eventually get heavy and droop, so they really need a vertical trellis. And then you have trailing varieties. These guys produce long, thin vines that will literally just sprawl all over the ground if you don't tie them up to a trellis system. Know your variety, and you'll know exactly how to train it.
Moving on to part 2, why pruning is essential. Because, let's be honest, those thorns can be intimidating, so why not just let nature take its course?
Well, if you don't prune, you get a tangled nightmare of tiny fruit, and picking them is a painful, scratchy chore. But, and this is huge, proper pruning can actually increase your harvest by up to 50%. Why? Because when you remove the dead wood and thin out the excess canes, you are forcing the plant to funnel all its energy directly into fruit production. Plus, clearing out that clutter dramatically boosts airflow and sunlight, which are literally your best natural defenses against fungal diseases. And hey, a neat, organized plant makes harvesting those sweet berries a total breeze.
All right, part 3, the best time to prune. Let's nail down that timing so we don't accidentally ruin our harvests.
A really common misconception is that pruning is just a one-and-done winter chore. Nope, it's an ongoing cycle. In late winter, when the plant is completely dormant, that's when you do your major structural cuts. Then, fast forward to early summer, you'll be out there tipping the new green growth. And finally, in late summer or early fall, right after you've picked the last berry, it's time for cleanup, removing those spent canes that just finished fruiting.
Okay, I really need to highlight this because it's a mistake even veteran gardeners make. Do not do your heavy, dormant pruning too early in the fall. Why? Because those dying second-year canes aren't actually totally dead yet. They are actively pumping vital nitrogen and nutrients back down into the root system to fuel next year's growth. If you chop them off too early, you are literally stealing next year's food from your plant. Just hold your horses and wait until late winter or early spring.
Section 4. How to prune blackberries. Let's get our hands dirty and break down exactly what you need to do.
Now, before you make a single cut, you got to gear up. Make sure you have the right tools on hand. Bypass pruners for the thin green stuff and heavy-duty loppers for those thick, woody, dead canes. It is absolutely vital that you sterilize these with a basic household disinfectant before you start and between plants so you don't spread disease. Oh, and unless you're lucky enough to be growing a thornless variety, absolutely do not forget a thick pair of leather gloves.
First up in the cycle is summer tipping. It sounds technical, but it's remarkably simple and it yields massive results. When your new green primocanes get to be about 3 to 5 feet high in the summer, you're literally just going to pinch or snip off the top 1 to 4 inches of the tip. By removing that top growth point, you force the plant to push its energy outward, creating side branches or laterals. And here's the secret sauce: those lateral branches are exactly where next year's massive fruit clusters are going to pop up. Check this out. This shows the summer tipping process perfectly. You're snipping just the very top portion of that flexible green cane. I know, it feels totally counterintuitive to cut a healthy growing plant. But once you snip that tip, the plant redirects all that upward energy horizontally. Boom! Maximized future yield. You might actually need to do this a few times over the summer as different canes reach that target height.
Okay, fast forward to late winter. The plant is asleep, and it's time for the heavy lifting. Here are your 4 non-negotiable steps. First, cut every single dead floricane all the way down to the soil level. Remember, they'll never fruit again. Second, inspect your remaining primocanes and hack away any that are weak, damaged, or crossing over each other. Third, thin the herd. You really only want about 3 to 8 strong, healthy canes per plant, depending on your variety. Finally, take those lateral branches you encouraged over the summer and snip them back to about 12 to 18 inches. This stops the plant from overcropping and guarantees the berries it does produce are huge and sweet.
I mean, just look at this before and after. On the left, a tangled, crowded nightmare waiting for a fungal infection. On the right, clean, distinct cuts at the soil level. Cleaning out those dead floricanes instantly gives the plant breathing room, it drastically reduces the places where pests and mold can hide out over the winter, and it makes plenty of space for next year's crop to soak up the sun.
Now hold on, because there is one massive, game-changing exception to everything we just talked about. If you're growing a newer, primocane fruiting variety, something like a Primark, your pruning job is almost unbelievably easy. Because these amazing hybrids actually produce fruit on their first-year canes in the late summer and fall, you don't even have to worry about saving canes over the winter. You can quite literally mow the entire patch straight to the ground in late winter, and it'll grow all new canes and fruit beautifully the exact same year. Wild, right?
Okay, bringing us to Section 5, troubleshooting and pest control. Even with perfect pruning, things happen, so let's protect that hard work. Here's a fantastic little cheat sheet we pulled from the sources for identifying common pests and diseases. But what's really fascinating here is how proper pruning is actually your primary defense mechanism. See gray mold down there at the bottom? The best fix isn't necessarily spraying chemicals. It's pruning for airflow so the environment just isn't damp enough for mold to survive. And the crown borer? The immediate fix is removing and destroying the infested canes, which, hey, is exactly what you're doing during your winter cleanup anyway.
All right, let's wrap this up with the absolute key takeaways that will turn your patch into a wildly productive, disease-free zone. Number 1, know what you're growing: erect or trailing, primocane or floricane. 2, train your eye to instantly spot a green primocane versus a woody floricane. 3, get out there and do your summer tipping to force those lateral branches. 4, aggressively clear out dead canes and thin the rest in late winter. And 5, always sanitize your tools. One quick, absolutely crucial disclaimer before you grab those loppers and head outside. While this explainer gives you the comprehensive, expert-backed playbook, local climates can vary wildly. A deep freeze up north means your schedule will look a bit different than a mild winter down south, so always do a quick check with your local agricultural extension office to get the precise timing for your specific microclimate. So, I'm going to leave you with this to ponder. Are you going to let nature run wild, leaving you with a tangled, unmanageable thicket? Or, now that you know the secrets of summer tipping, winter thinning, and the magic of that 2-year cane, are you ready to unlock their true potential? It is time to throw on those thick leather gloves, grab your sterilized shears, and go show those bushes who's boss. Happy pruning, and here's to your most bountiful harvest yet.